Hi, TransByDef. This is Christine, and I'm your Sunday host. The topic this week is career paths for young transitioners. So we're just supposed to talk about some ideas of what we think will work well, what might be a little safer, and some of the pitfalls to avoid. I'll start with pitfalls. A career in the military is not really an option for a young transitioner. The reason a career will not work is that there are no protections. You cannot transition in the military. They will kick you out. So that's the first thing. You cannot do military. A couple of other ones that are a little more dangerous. Anything where you have to interact directly with customers and are making minimum wage. So, working in a grocery store, working at a fast food restaurant, those aren't good career paths anyway. They're not good career paths for anyone, but they're particularly not great for trans people because of the prejudice of the customers. They're likely to complain. People are likely to have some reserve about taking a chance on you. Another career path that's not necessarily great for trans people, anything where they're strongly male dominated, with hyper macho men. So the hyper macho men, that would be like auto mechanics, possibly any kind of police work. Those are not the safest of careers. You will suffer considerable amounts of harassment. And technically that's illegal. Technically you can complain. But doing so always comes at a cost. Every time you raise a red flag, people look at you like a whistleblower and they don't want to talk to you anymore. You're the one that's causing problems if you're doing that, is how they're perceiving you. Now, that's not the reality. The reality is that what they're doing is causing the problem. But how it's perceived to your other coworkers, it could be really pretty hostile. Technology is a heavily male-dominated field, or really any of the sciences, the hard sciences, are going to be heavily male-dominated. With that said, those careers tend to be, just typically lower unemployment rates, harder to find qualified individuals. The harder it is to find a qualified person to do it, the better safety you have in that job. So, for example, I work with system administration. I run Unix computers. The unemployment rate for people doing system admin work across the United States is well below the national unemployment average. It seems to be hovering around 5% from what I was looking at probably over a year ago at the height of the recession, when it was really hard for people to find jobs. It was 5%. Well, 5% is also considered full employment. It means that the number of people that are just out looking for a job because they can't find a job is pretty much minimal. The ones that are there to get that 5% are ones that have chosen not to work because they don't need to, or that are just transitioning to another job within their field because they've decided they don't want to work for that place or that place. So if you work in a field that's like that, where it's hard to find skilled people and you can make yourself indispensable, well, then you're going to do very well. So even though it's male dominated, it's pretty safe. With that said, you probably want to get out of the areas of the country that are most likely going to be in general hostile towards you. So you're going to want to look for a job in a bigger city, a more accepting city, or a state that has trans protections across the whole gamut of things. Now, technically in the United States, we all have trans protections through the Equal Opportunity Employment Commission because of a case known as Macy v. Holder. Mia Macy was offered a job and then she didn't get the job because she told them that she was trans, and she filed suit. And the result of that was the EEOC said that trans people have employment protections, that discrimination against us because we're trans is sex discrimination. And sex discrimination has been illegal for a long time, regardless of who we are. So, the Supreme Court had a ruling on this with a lesbian woman who was considered more masculine, super masculine, doing, I think, an accounting job at a high level. And that's where the EEOC got their ruling. They went back to that Supreme Court ruling and said, hey, it's protected. So we should be protected, no matter where we're at, no matter what we do, but that doesn't mean that you really are. I mean, people will find other reasons to fire you if they really want to. I do hope that that doesn't happen for anyone, including myself. I've that was something I've worried about recently. But anyway, I digress a little bit. So like I was saying, anything where the unemployment rate is low, it's a pretty safe bet that you can find a job. The next thing is anything where you're particularly passionate. Anything that you're really good at. Being exceptional in your field tends to overwhelm anyone who's dealing with you. You can do better than them. And if you can do better than them, they want you on their team. So, I mean, maybe they don't. Maybe they get intimidated, but it doesn't matter because you're better than them. So you'll do better. That's just the nature of things. If you're the best, you're going to do fine. So find your passion and follow that if you can. I mean, if your passion is baking cakes, okay, but be really, really good. If your passion is as a waitress, okay, but be really, really good. It's going to be hard to break into that industry. Hospitality is not a high-paying field. It's not even easy for us. I mean, we have costs and expenses that exceed your average person. For trans women, we've got electrolysis, we've got augmentation, we've got reassignment surgery. We've got expenses. And those expenses, they're hard to afford on a minimum wage job. And the other thing is, those minimum wage jobs, you're not that important. Even if you're the best, you're easily replaced with someone else. Even if they suffer for it, they will, or they can. And there's no safety there. So, follow your passion, but be realistic. Anything where you need a college degree to do it, you've got some safety net in getting that college degree, but at the same time, there's a lot of people getting college degrees. So look at the unemployment rate in that field and think carefully about whether that's going to be a safe career path. If you're sure you're the best, you'll be fine. Go for it. But if you don't know if you're the best and you have something else that's equally, you could do either one and be happy, find the one with the lower unemployment rate. It's going to work out well for you. One thing that doesn't pay very well, but is actually a pretty good field for us, the arts. And we have some trans role models in the arts. Like, for example, we have game designers, artists, graphic artists that draw for games, comic book illustrators. We have people that do everything that are trans. I mean, there is no job that trans people do not do. We're as good as anyone else. We do tend to gravitate towards technology and sometimes hyper-masculine activities. It's ironic that the military has more trans people per capita than the general populace. That's ironic because that's the last place you would expect to find us. Because it is so hostile, because you can lose your job as soon as you come out. But that's what the research shows. And there's some thoughts behind why. I mean, one of the reasons why is because we've hidden it. And so we go into the hyper-masculine fields as trans women, and we hide. Because nobody would ever think that this Marine, could be a woman. But if you're young and you're trans and you know what you're doing, that's not a good field. And you should avoid it. So, my advice, my real basic advice here is find something with a low unemployment rate, with a high level of skills that you're passionate about, and go for that. Whatever that is.